And welcome to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, revolution.radio. This is Planet Collingwood Open Roundtable. My name is Monty Dean. A big thank you to Why Not and the Y-Files. This is why you need to write better and have full stops in it so you can breathe. Yeah, I'm not that good. Anyway, yes, if you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to said websites. Hang on, I'm about to sneeze. And it's not going to because now I'm actually focusing on it. So this is how you start international radio, ladies and gentlemen. You just point out that you're human. Alrighty, yep. Alright, cool. So if you enjoy the last 2 hours, let's just do the spiel. Go to freedomslips.com and or revolutionradio.radio, that is, and donate what you can because that's how we survive here. We are 100% listener supported and we're all volunteers. And we can't do this without you. So if you enjoy the information / entertainment and my stupidity, which falls into halfway between, it's infotainment, but not. Donate what you can within reason, of course. Like don't sell the second house or the boat. I'm looking at you, Sanders. And then once you've done that, pop into the wonderful chat room and hang out with lovely people, like-minded, like-hearted, and just liked people. And there's also merchandising as well. You've got onesies for the kids, caps, t-shirts, and everything else like that. So it's the longest crowdfunding project on the internet today, until someone points out that I'm wrong. Of course, I've been, as you can hear, people are in the background. I've been joined already. If you want to join the fantastic call, if you're on my list, just send me a note and I'll add you to the call. And if you're new, hello, Monty_Dean, which sounds funny when I say it like that. It sounds like a very interesting superhero. However, I've been joined by two fantastic men, and during the break, we're going out in the car park, and they're going to fight over a Camaro. Bruce MacDonald and the Viking. Bruce, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks, Monty. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. And or Viking, how are you?
I'm doing good, Monty. How's it going, Bruce?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, in the chat, the call chat, you've shared the human resonance, and it's doing its thing. However, this is an audio medium. Would you like to share what the picture saw depicts?
Yeah. So the human resonance basically shows the resonant frequency of this planet. Now, in the past, it's been hitting around 4 to 10 hertz. This is kind of the normal, and it's been kind of the normal in 3D. Has kept us in our status quo, and the frequency has been designed to keep us in the subjugated state of this mindset, mind control that has been programmed in our DNA as a virus, so we can be. It's like a stopgap. It's just kept us in this rhetoric. What's been happening over the past 6 months is the human resonance has been spiking. And in the last month, it's literally been, absolutely off the chart. You have to go to this human resonance. It's a Russian site, and it is widening out. So what these waves are is from the central sun and the galactic center. These waves are being pushed our way by the I believe it's the Alpha Centaurians that have this technology. They're 9 and 12D, so they're pushing these waves in. They're tachyon, photonic, they're adamantium particles that are infused in these waves, and they're ones and zeros, and they're slowly terraforming the planet Earth. So eventually, we will be in 40 hertz, but they're bringing this on, and the pulse is happening about every 24 to 36 hours. These huge, massive waves are coming in, and they're it's kind of like a train slowly starting off. Or imagine the bends. We have to go one level at a time to decompress and decompress and decompress in this terraforming that's occurring on this planet as Gaia goes from 3 to 5D. We are then, in her slipstream. And so what this does is it causes a compression of our reality. It's like taking coal and you compress it to a diamond. That's what's happening to us. We went from a carbon-based reality into a crystalline being. And the compression is forcing us to see the arenas in our lives that are no longer serving us, our PTSD of our cocktail of our karmic ambiguities that are left unresolved. Because this period right now, as we transit from 3 to 5, we are in the 4D. It's the caterpillar to butterfly. We're being forced to resolve our energetics. Our energetics is being it's like viruses in your corrupted files. We have corrupted files of our energetics that still are entangled in this chaotic mess or chaotic soup. And this is the time of awakening, especially with this latest scenario. But I call it the scamdemic or the staycation. This is forcing humanity. I mean, this is the positive aspect to this. We finally got forced to be still, to be still in our house, to be still, and we turned to the internet and we start to do our research. And more people have awoken in the past 6 weeks and in the past 10 years. I mean, the catalyst effect of now these people realizing that they're absolutely been subjugated into slavery and the pain and suffering and everything that's coming out of the media and coming out of the deep state and all these false flags and are waking people up in unprecedented proportion. And these human resonant waves are definitely causing a lot of stirring, kicking over the beehive.
Well, that is true. Also, you don't have that distraction of 40 hours a week at work, as one way of saying it. And so you get bored, and there was joy, and then you got horny, and then you were bored, and then it's like, oh, well, what else can we do? I'm going to watch that documentary about that guy, and then, rabbit hole, and you fall down. As well as the human resonance peaking, which usually the human resonance is the vibration of the planet is the same as the alpha wave in the human brain. What's been going on, and it's been happening a lot, and we've been joined by a new guest, and so I'm trying to be professional, and I'll lead into him, which sounds very weird. I'll lead into introducing him. There is a lot of actual dreaming going on as well, because you're having the breakdowns of different frequencies, and so you're in your dream time, which could be subconscious, your own holodeck. Different timelines, meeting, different realities, or meeting with your higher self, and so on and so forth. I'm sure we'll expand on. It's just not just your basic watching a TV screen and I'm thinking of lollipops. We've been joined by John Wayne, not the actor, and in the last 24 hours, he's had a very interesting dream/vision. And that's why he's come on, because I spoke to him in the green room, as I call it now. And it is quite fascinating because, John, go ahead.
Okay, folks. Well, thanks for having me on, Monty. And I wanted to thank you very much for, telling me to write this down. Mm-hmm. Because, as the time progresses, even though it's only been 3 hours ago, it's starting to turn into fog,
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and read and I titled this Premonition or Dreamscape. So Tuesday, May 5th, which would be today, here, where we're at, here in the States. Tuesday, May 5th, after eating a hearty meal of bacon-wrapped chicken breast, fried potatoes, and asparagus, I got overwhelmingly sleepy. I laid down to sleep at around 7:30 p.m. and fell into a deep slumber. While asleep, John, I had... Yes, go ahead.
Did you buy that chicken or butcher it yourself?
It was bought.
Okay, sorry, continue.
I laid down to sleep at around 7:30 p.m. and fell into a deep slumber. While asleep, I had received a vision. Here is the detailed event below. I was talking on the phone to someone I haven't met yet. detailing my life experiences leading me to where I'm at and my advances in being a broadcaster slash radio host. After a lengthy conversation, we ended the call. I walked into the living room and placed my cellular device on the table by my armchair. I went to walk into the kitchen to grab a drink from the refrigerator. I'm almost to the kitchen when absolutely, all of a sudden, the earth below my feet began to pitch and roll, throwing me off my feet. The shaking was so intense I tried to stand up 3 times to no avail. My fiancée Ashley was asleep in bed. I had to crawl on my elbows and knees to the bedroom door, all while not being able to holler or scream. I got to the bedroom door and had to bang the door off the wall to awaken her. As she awoken, the shaking had subsided. She came to me, giving me a long embrace, and I wept/cried with feverish intent. I then went for the cell phone to check my earthquake application. From being so distraught, I could not unlock the phone quick enough, and my fingers were as if jello. After several attempts, I got the phone unlocked, and after several tries trying to pick the correct application, I had it. The earthquake app. And it showed that a 10.0 Richter quake had struck directly in the middle of Nebraska, and another simultaneously of 9.0 in Oklahoma. The only furniture that had been moved was my stepson's bed, and he says to me, "Look how far my bed has moved." Then I sat straight up in bed, drawing a huge gasp of air, saying to Ashley, "Am I here? Am I awake?" And she replied saying, "You are here, and yes, you are awake." And then I came into the living room, sat in the recliner, and called a good friend on the West Coast to relate the vision to him, and then called 2 other good friends and gave them my account of said vision, and called my father to tell him. Now, in the vision, I didn't, I added this to after the fact of the matter because I didn't think of putting it in the main script of what I wrote of the account that I had. It was summertime. The sun had been set for an hour or so, and people were playing basketball in the park. So I'd say it was around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. Central Time. And my fiance recalls me whimpering in my sleep, and this must have been while feverishly crying in the vision. After awakening, my elbows, wrist, and back ached, and the shaking went on for 3.5 to 4 minutes, and that entails what I wrote down. And Monty, I absolutely want to thank you very much for directing me to do such a thing, because I never would have written it down.
Yeah, and by now you probably won't remember it. However, by putting it down, for those playing at home, John actually wrote it down with a pen on actual paper, which engages a different part of the brain instead of just typing into your phone. And there's more memory or connection. And in my travels, if you have writing a letter, you don't have to send the letter, but by writing a letter, you can actually transmute the energy. So if you've got an issue with someone you don't like, or there should be a problem with someone that's passed on, you can actually write this letter and then just burn the letter. But by doing that act, there's an energy shift when you're doing it, and as I said, it engages a different part of the brain. Now, when you're talking about dreams, you kind of need to do it straight away because because you're changing frequencies, and what is memory and where is memory and everything else like that. But Viking and or Bruce, what did you think of that?
Go ahead, Viking.
Trying to send you a map of the Madrid fault lines, and this is going to be the last time the Madrid fault lines kicked off was, I think it was in 1812. It rang the bells in Washington. I mean, it was major seismic activity, and they have been prophesizing it coming to life and kicking off. And I'm pretty sure what you're describing is within the Madrid fault system. And
Well,
what?
Actually, the Madrid runs southeast of where I'm at, and these two major quakes, the 10.0 that hit in Nebraska and the 9.0 that hit in Oklahoma, was along the western edge of the North American Craton, or
Okay.
also known as I'd have to look at it. There's another name for it, but yeah.
Well, I would seriously. It's one of those dreams that you have that you have to. You remember who you were talking to?
No, I don't. I've never met the guy, or I haven't met him yet, and I found it interesting because we had an absolutely long, in-depth conversation before this event.
Do you remember any snippets of the conversation?
Just as as like how I would introduce myself to somebody I'm talking to for the first time, kind of giving a detailed account of my existence, how I've come to be, where I'm at in my life, the coming into hosting my radio broadcast I've been doing for 6 years now, just kind of an average conversation.
So my hits, okay, my intuitive hit is that you were either speaking to a future you, or you're speaking to a galactic or soul gripping aspect of you, and you're kind of. So what this means is you're coming into your power. You're coming into your clairsentient and clairvoyant. To get to clairsentient, clairvoyant, as we talked about last night, it's understanding that your belief structure comes from the heart, from within. And then you start to activate the binary function of the brain, which opens a portal of dynamics to your quantum essence. And you're on the verge right now of bursting this veil. And this premonition, I would not take lightly.
No, I don't. I'm going to tell you, I talked to, two of the gentlemen are on the call right now, and I was shaken up. I was really bothered with the experience, and it was one of the most livid visions I've ever received, or account that I've ever had. And I'm still sitting here kind of, trying to still gather myself.
So John, you can access this information. You just gotta know that you can, with your genetic blueprinting and your Akashic records and your being able to take control of the evolution of your DNA by talking to it, you can develop this the sensory perception, or fine tune it and to a keen awareness. You can actually start asking yourself, well, when will this occur, and when will this occur? And you'll get more dreams if you really are serious. You can't. So it's best not to be upset or freaked out about it, but try to own it.
Okay.
Well, I sort of put forward to John when he rang me that, to back up what you're saying, Viking, is to own the experience and to see what it means, or what revelations you can get. Well, hey, Christians, all right, revelations you can get from it, because it could be this may happen, and you make a decision of I don't want that massive earthquake. That's one possibility in that respect. It could be there may not be an earthquake, but what was the example I get? Oh yeah, Donald Trump turns out to be a transvestite, because that could be earth shattering for people.
Right.
Yeah. Now I'm not see, on a soul level, I don't want to see that. for many reasons. I just, the president can do what he likes somewhere else, but I had to pick something to be, dare I say, flippant. But it's fascinating. So I'm glad you wrote it down, because that way you can actually forget it in a certain way and not worry about what's missing. You just go back to that piece and then remember it that way, because it's a snapshot in that respect. Bruce, being a writer, what am I trying to explain? How by writing dreams down, or actually physically writing, there's something special about there, isn't there? I'll take that as a yes. He's probably getting a cup of tea.
Oh, sorry. I just gave one of my best answers in months on round table. I can't remember it. I was on mute. Um, no, writing. I mean, the language is the very first magic, right? If you look at the chain of expression, now we're up to formula. Okay, so formula is a ritual. It's a sequence, and a sequence, proportions, timing, all of these things go into a formula, whether it be a motor oil or anything that is a formula, a mathematical formula. A lot of our philosophy is formula now. The antecedent of formula is ritual, and the antecedent of ritual is language. Ritual involves incantation and some markings, let's say, if you're going to do some chalk on the ground or something. And these are all forms of expression and communication. When you go right to the back to the base of all of these things, it's language. So there's a tremendous power in language, and there's a tremendous power in telling a story. And story is the most powerful way human beings can communicate. An allegory or a parable is more powerful than a formula, than a ritual, because it contains so much energy, and that energy can be transferred from one human being to another. It's kind of like putting a seed in your consciousness, in your imagination, and it grows and creates this garden in your imagination. So, and it just, as you get into longer word forms, like a book around 80, 100,000 pages, I mean, I don't talk about this often, but every time I work on a book, whether it be fiction or nonfiction, the level of paranormal activity around me just goes through the roof. There's something stirred up by language, concentrated, focused language. And this is why there's so much mysticism around writing, and this is why no writer can ever tell you where a story comes from. And we invent things like, Robert Browning's The White Goddess, which was his expression for the muse. He was a magician, by the way, an English magician as well. Crowley, all of these people, it's all rooted in language, right? You can't summon the entity or the being unless you have the words, and the words have to be articulated verbally. That's it. They have to be externalized. You can't do it in your head, right? It's very interesting.
Yeah, because if I'm with just give me a sec, Viking, because I'm sure you'll pick up the stick and go for a run. The talking stick, that is. With dreams, it's very symbols and feelings and colors, and to express that, you use the language, and that's where, that's where some beautiful poetry. There's reasons that 400 years, like Byron or Tennyson, Tiger Burning Bright, stuff like that survived centuries. There's a reason for it, because they've obviously, like saying Van Gogh apparently wasn't very popular when he was alive, but now you look at his stuff and you go, well, he painted for the future, and it was just his expression. But Viking, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, putting pen to paper. I really love that expression. I first heard that in the open range with Robert Duvall asking the nurse for a pen to paper. He wanted to put pen to paper, but putting pen to paper kind of resolves, like it's a subconscious flow of energy in your dreamscape or in the back of your mind. When you put pen to paper, it kind of brings it into a frequency of resolution, and it completes the cycle. It completes the current. So I've often recommended a dream journal or a journal in general. When you meditation, just write down your visions or your epiphanies or your attributes as you start to channel them, because then by doing this, it also validates the process, and by validating the process, it makes it stronger. You start to switch into that mode, the mode of operation, modus operandi of your higher essential being, and again, it kind of puts it from your subconscious to your conscious mind, and again, it completes the cycle and gives you a code, which as you start to engage in that code or that vision or that understanding or that epiphany, you start to engage in it, then it becomes a codex in your DNA. It kind of it's the way you you wash out and cleanse out these viruses is by having this cycle or discipline of life. One gives way to the next, gives way to the next. It's like instead of having a vinyl record where you can constantly living that skip over and over and over again, you allow yourself to have a full revolution, and then you upgrade to the next.
Yeah, like in the chat room, they've brought up deja vu, things that have happened before, but you get there. That to me, it's bringing in timelines and dreaming, where I've many a time I've dreamt it, or my consciousness has jumped up the river of time, and it's just it could be I'm picking up a matchstick, but that's a massive signpost of you're on the right direction or whatever it is. But there's no spoilers where, it's like you're about to, this is when you meet your wife. If, there's none of that. It's just like, I'm just going to pick up this breadstick, and you remember that. And it's just, I call it Polaroids. It's just the Polaroid of deja vu. And the way I interpret it is it's my higher self or my dreaming self has shown pockets of the timeline that is possible. And when you're on the right timeline, you have that recognition of like, oh, I've done this before. And it's just to sort of do it. I sort of learnt that because I was smoking a bit of DMT, and I realized that I've had moments in my life that were linked to that moment in time. And then I realized I actually, using DMT, it's not a paradox, but I started my own loop where I put all these breadcrumbs up until that moment, but it was in the moment when I laid those breadcrumbs in my timeline. I laughed for about 5 minutes. So good times.
It's interesting. I've been getting a lot of kind of the closing of the chapter here. What I need to do personally, what humanity needs to face in order to finally come to this new resolution. Being able to literally jump into 5D. And when you get these visions and you get these epiphanies, and you start to get these insights of your higher dynamics, one thing to be aware of is when your entire body starts to, you get a chill, and your whole body starts to just get to shiver. And that's your DNA upgrading. When you start to feel that, and then that is something to pay attention to. This is completely, I've been getting these more and more recently, as I start to understand the last piece of the puzzle here that's falling into place.
Yeah, tuning the radio, the old crystal set, and there's a little bit of. I don't think we get static, but once you start to a tuning, which is interesting because of was it the Easter weekend around about the 13th or whenever, April, that big crushing 4 days when the Schumann resonance gone, you know what, I'm going to go to 80 today and do it for 36 hours straight, where it was very, very intense, and the graph was going through the roof. I know a lot of people that just slept, they were all awake for 4 hours over 36 hours because it just knocked the living bejesus out of them. And I noticed this Monday on the Sunday night, Monday, very quickly. On the Sunday, Monday, there was a big spike as well, and it took me 4 hours to get out of bed on Monday because I woke up at 8:30, and eventually I got out of bed at 8:30, and then 11:30. It was like, oh, Bruce, I think you were about to join in.
Yeah. So I'll just share a little bit of news here from Costa Rica. There's a bill that was put into the legislature earlier this week, and they're trying to come up with ways to revitalize the economy. And President Alvarado is backing a bill to legalize the cultivation of hemp and cannabis. So I have 200 hectares in one of the best growing areas for this particular product in the world. So I may be putting a prospectus together and looking for investors. But,
okay. If I may very quickly, comedy timing, but when you said hectares, I thought you said hectares, and I just thought you've got 200 guys in your thing go, hello! we're all called Hector. But that's just me
Monty,
being
you
silly.
racist.
Hey, well, just because when people talk about Jesus, I go, leave my Mexican gardener alone. That's racist. But yeah, it's just it's like the Naked Gun movies or the Police Squad files where they go into the Japanese garden and they have Japanese people in big pots.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, this is going on. So ideally what I'd like to do is even have the CBD oil produced here in Costa Rica,
yes,
and not just sell hemp, but just control the whole market. So I'm looking for businesses to do. I feel not guilty, but I just, it's funny as the world is going down, my own world is going up. It's very strange, right? And when everybody was doing well, like, making money hand over fist, I wasn't. I'd be off somewhere working on a book or something. And but now things are going really well now. I have people approaching me, like people with money, like big money. And people I've met through these people I'm working on books with. And so it's just a question of getting a prospectus together and getting it all done right and getting some megalithic business. And this would be the perfect place to do it too, because nobody's going to steal anything up here, right? Nobody's going to come and cut down your plants at night, because it's too hard to get away here. You can only go about 15 kilometers an hour on the road. You can run after the getaway truck that stole your hemp.
I was going to say, you go for hemp instead of cannabis, but you live on a mountain, you'll be fine. Viking, sorry, I stepped in there. Go ahead.
That's fine. No, hemp is one thing. It's the CBD is a whole nother genus. It's from the cannabinoids that come out of an indica or a sativa, where hemp. And actually, it's from the leaves. They do the CBD from the actual leaves of the plant. But hemp is not CBD. Hemp is a rope and string and fabric and cloth, and you can turn it into oil for fuel. It's multi versatile. But when you're doing the CBD oil, you have to use the actual cannabis plant that you get medical results from.
Okay. Yeah. So I think both things are on the table now. Yeah, and it's a big thing. It's going all through Latin America now. Ecuador is legalizing it. And I mean, hemp's coming back in a big way, right? Which I think is a fantastic thing. And there's all kinds of things you can do with it, and
plastic.
hempcrete.
Yeah, hempcrete, plastic. Yeah, I would say I would come over, but I don't speak Spanish, and I'll be high as a kite and passed out all the time. So I'm being honest.
So what John knows as well as I do, that the first American flag and most of your Confederate and Union uniforms were made of hemp.
Yeah. Now, things are looking up, man. I mean, I don't mean to be committing the sin of optimism on this roundtable, but things are looking up, man. The world's going in the right direction, and anybody can make it. Anybody can get on the train that's going to the right place. You just have to have the courage to get on it and leave some things behind and get off the teat of the government system and just go out and do something. Anything's possible, man. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
I find it interesting when you speak about flags. The first flag of the United States was actually called the pine tree flag. And the motto on it said, an appeal to heaven. And the design of the flag came from General Washington's secretary, Colonel Joseph Reed. In a letter dated October 20th, 1775, Colonel Reed suggested a flag with a white ground with a white background and a tree in the middle. And like I said, the motto, an appeal to heaven. used for the ships Washington commissioned. And I was completely unaware of this until about maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Right on. You going to introduce your new guest? Get ready, folks. Get ready to have your world shaken up more than John Wayne's dreamed earthquake. The man who's about to speak is going to rock your world.
It's Lord Brew of Chicago. Chicago Brew, how are you?
Okie doke. You know, all your tilt-a-wheel going at 50 miles an hour woke me up. Is this the kaleidoscope or the tilt-a-wheel off the wheel? You know.
Oh, column A, column B.
Yeah, you know, you guys have sped this through so quickly that when you brought John Wayne in to talk about this dream that he put pen to paper on, and you guys just sped past it, because I don't even know what he was talking about. I don't know what this dream was about. But you know, one of the things I would have addressed to Mr. Wayne here is, first, what was that you ate? Something wrapped in bacon, and what was that?
Chicken breast.
So you
Yes, chicken breast with bacon and fried potatoes and asparagus.
Okay, so you know, I do recall this time that you took some weeks off not too long ago because you weren't feeling too well, and you know, there was just some things with stress or whatever it was. You took some time off because you're concerned about your health and other things. And now we're in a time where the whole world is shut down, and the last place that anybody wants to go or needs to go or should even consider going is a hospital. So one of the things we all need to be doing is looking after our health, the things we do, the things we are risking, whether we're swinging a hammer or crossing a street or driving our vehicles down the road. We need to be extra cautious, and especially when it comes to the intake of the things that we're eating. And so when you're talking about eating bacon, this is wrapped in bacon or whatever, you're talking about, you know, things that give heart attacks. Okay? You know, we all got to be careful. We all have to be careful. You know those things. You know, well, I'll get to this next point in a minute, but this is the one thing that people are going to these hospitals. You know, we're hearing stories all over where people are checking in and not checking out. What's going on in New York? We're hearing things in Britain where they're saying we're not. They literally, this is a statement from hospital or political officials in Britain. We are not infecting enough people. So you need to be super careful. This goes for everybody out there. I've expressed this to people around me in various places, you know, people that are, even the slightest consideration of having some reasonability about them. Got to be careful. And then we have to watch what we're eating. You know, I can't understand in this whole time where we're all supposed to be shut down and afraid of a virus, how many people are actually going to Wendy's, Burger King, you know, out to eat to all these different places. You don't know who's even behind the counter. Oh, we're afraid of coronavirus. But, you know, they're eating things from places they have no idea who's there. Does that make sense to anybody? Do these people get tested? Do you know if they're washing their hands?
Yeah.
Nothing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does make sense because of the stupidity. I'm not a big fan of attacking the general public, but that's where they're at. Whereas, like, stay home, stay safe. I'm hungry, so who wants Wednesdays? And they just flip to like, oh, we can just go there and back again. It's the dare I say, it falls under the same level of I wear a white coat, so therefore I'm a god. And thank you, Bruce, for that. Murder wasps, hornets now?
Hornets. Murder hornets. Yeah. They got the size of a mouse. Like a murder hornet murdered a mouse or stung a mouse and killed it within a minute, and it's the size of a mouse. And the murder hornets are so big they can actually put tracking devices on them. Was that it? They said.
Probably. I just made a connection that the whole Pentagon confirming UFOs exist didn't do much. So like, okay, we'll wheel out the murder hornets then and see how that goes. Because can you imagine just even October, just last October, which feels like a decade ago, just explaining how 2020 will go. Like we're just the 5th or 6th day of May, and we still feel like it's a Stephen King film that had a hit of crack.
The 5th or 6th day of May. It doesn't even feel like it. Barely feels like March.
Yeah, I know. Like, we've only been going for 42 minutes, and I felt like, wow, we're manipulating time because I think we've crunched in an hour and a half.
Well, let me manipulate this last statement. So where I'm getting back to John, remember, how it is, any of us on this call or in the audience, when you eat certain things and you go to bed and certain things make you dream different ways, or if you eat too much, you're eating too heavy, and that can put you into different dream states. It give you nightmares, could give you this, could give you all sorts of things. So, you got to watch your diet. Okay, if you're getting,
Oh, absolutely, I agree.
Get where
And
you
I
ate
took
a
that
ton of.
into account.
Look, I ate a ton of potatoes last night, and then I woke up. I fell asleep. Boom! As soon as I ate this big thing of potatoes that I fried up and some fresh garlic in it and whatever, boom! As soon as I sat down, I fell asleep, and then I woke up. Like just feeling, but I don't have any dreams to speak about, thankfully, because I don't want to scare the world. But I do wake up with some sense. The only problem is I woke up too early. Okay, but nothing some water couldn't take care of.
I've noticed very quickly that I've started to nap. Where I was the latest Monty Dean show on Wafer Thin Entertainment on YouTube. I was talking to Danny McKenny from Removing the Shackles, and yeah, we're roughly the same age, and it's not we're getting old. I think this relates to the Schumann resonance or whatever the change is we're napping, not like, a nap for 20 minutes or for 2 hours, and it just moves all around. It's not that at 3 o'clock, I'm going to have a 20-minute nap, and then I can get for the rest of the day. You get to 11 o'clock in the morning, it's like, I'm tired. And I think that's all related to the energy and frequency going. Now, that adds to the type of food you have as well, because if it's a heavy food, you are what you eat, and it would affect your frequency and whatever's going on. And if you're eating good food, you would have interesting, trippy type of dreams. But if you're eating shit, pardon my French, it's not going to go well, which is that heavy and stuff like, yeah, I'll stop there. You know what I'm trying to say.
Well, I can't speak to what a great diet is or what the best foods to be eating or anything like that. But what I do understand is the American diet is the worst diet on the planet. There's one of these Dr. Sherry Rogers calls 7 M's, which I cannot recite for you if my wife depended on it. But just this diet that we have here in America is just the worst, and it's why we're all sick. This is why they can promote this coronavirus and our poor immune systems and our unhealthiness and our underlying conditions. And go ahead.
Because to back that up, anyone from the United States listening, and you're not sure of what we're talking about, just put in food additives or foods that are banned in the rest of the world except for the United States, where I can't think of an example, but Europe and England and even probably Australia and New Zealand, we don't have this type of stuff in the food. But the United States, free for all, and everything's yellow and everything else like that. It's probably why they want to. It adds to things, as Brew just said. It just adds to everything else like that. Where like the coronavirus, there's a bit of chicanery going on, who's dying and who's not. But then you've got the flip side of one of the biggest killers in the United States is medical malpractice or medical whatever. That's dropped because people aren't going to the hospital. So it's
188,000 deaths per year on average for medical malpractice of one way or another, misdiagnosis, mismedication, neglect. Was that the right leg or the left leg? I can't remember. I'll just go ahead.
Yeah. It's just it's so farcical. It is turning into it can easily be a comedy thing. One thing I find interesting now, it's not all of the United States is covered in the coronavirus, because there's elements of shutdowns or dropping, or people did the right things, where unfortunately New York seems to be the brunt of it, and there are other places. But I'm going to pick a number: 75% of the country isn't dealing with it. I mean, I think there are some Midwestern or mid-states that have no lockdown at all because it never got to them. And you keep seeing all these medical professionals doing TikTok videos. And it's like, well, yeah.
Here's the funny thing. What didn't get to them? The corruption, the fraud, the liars,
Yeah.
or the actual people are being sick from the actual strain of what allegedly came out of the Wuhan lab, blah, blah, blah. Or, what didn't get to them? The corruption, the fraud, the lying, where oh my gosh, they got hit by a bus and they died. Coronavirus.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and that's you're aware, obviously, if the hospital says coronavirus, they get $39,000 or something. There's a money incentive apparently.
Yeah, there is. You diagnose someone with coronavirus, you get 13 grand. You put them on a ventilator, you get 39 grand. And that could vary. So this is a major. They're promoting fraud. They're promoting whatever. If they get patients with flu, I guess this has to do with the medical charge of insurance company, welfare, Medicaid, you name it, and it may be specialized. And I don't know who promotes this. Maybe specialized now that they've declared this pandemic, but like a regular flu patient or pneumonia patient was only like $4,500. But as soon as you're like, well, what's this? I think it's probably coronavirus. It's COVID-19. Boom, they're getting paid. They're using this to pay off, well, their operating costs and benefit and to whatnot, because they've gotten rid of everything else, all your elective surgeries and so on and so forth. People that usually go in for regular treatments or checkups or this or that, so they have to compensate one way or the other, and they're looking to make a profit on top of it, because they all got to get their hands on the till. And here in the United States, the biggest cities, the cities with the largest numbers, happen to be cities and states that are bankrupt. California, New York, Chicago. These are the bankrupt cities. These are the cities that mismanaged all their funds, giving away from sanctuary, lining their pockets, laundering monies, dealing with foreign national states like China and so on, that they have no money. And that's, again, I say, lining their pockets, a lot of fraud, and they got no money. So they're trying to use this crisis to get money from the federal government and had everyone else bail them out, like Gavin Newsom in California. There are hundreds of billions of dollars in debt, and he wants the federal government to bail them out.
Because I do a comedy show with Andrew Bartzis, so I chat with him, because that's what you do with colleagues. But he put forward at the start of the year, see, it's only been 6 weeks, but oh man, it feels like an eternity. That the coronavirus in a way is here to push the evolutionary step of humanity forward. Whatever it's doing, so I don't really care. Well, it doesn't really matter if it's there's no virus, there is a virus, or it's a bioweapon. The idea is out there, and it's just shown that nothing works. Everything is corrupt. The medical profession had no idea that there's not enough funding for a pandemic. The government's full of corruption because of the end of last year. You could see the economy slowly collapsing. The pandemic came in, and it's just boosted it up by 80%, just ramped it up 8 gears, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we're only in May.
Well, Monty, that points out, what is the real virus? The virus is the politicians. The virus is the bankers. The virus is these NGOs and all these cartels and mafias. They're the real virus.
Yeah, the crime and corruption. It's exposed the corruption. There are people that still have they brought the idea of a Corona app for the United States? Because they have here. Okay, all right.
It's called, like, North Dakota. They're trying to roll out the Care 19 app, which the Care 19 app, what you could say COVID COVID-19 app, the Care-19 app, is basically a tracking device.
Yes.
Put it on your phone.
Mhm.
And they're, you know how they're doing this. They got the app for $9,000, but they're in working with Microsoft. All these wonderful people at Microsoft have volunteered their services, and they've gotten together with another partnership to help to beat coronavirus. And then they're going to roll it out to other states. And then they're going to get some back funding from FEMA. Now, how does FEMA get involved, which is national, to help bankroll what North Dakota's doing? See, it's all corrupt. It's
Yeah.
corruption left and right. People don't get it. So here, download this app, which actually works on a Bluetooth capability. So once these people download this app, it works on Bluetooth, and as soon as they walk past anybody else that doesn't have that app downloaded, that app sucks the information out of your phone using the Bluetooth capabilities. How do you like that? And then they're going to track everyone everywhere they go. So if you walk into, say, a large department store or a grocery store, and you're in there and they find one John Doe that says, oh my gosh, coronavirus, they're going to alert you on your phone, and they say it's anonymous, but that's garbage. They're talking to the stupid public, but they're going to alert you on your phone. If been here, you are could be affected by coronavirus because one John Doe in that store of 500 people, 400 people, 50 people
And
had
then you have to,
coronavirus. So
you have to go get
it's
tested,
total-
and the
it's lockdown.
test. Yeah, and the tests. Sorry to step on you there. You have to go get tested, and the tests aren't viable because the president of an African nation, I can't remember which one it was, but he thought something was a bit fishy, so he got goat DNA and pawpaw, and they both came back with coronavirus. And so the testing kits are a bit shonky as well.
Well, because they can't. There's no true test. They're searching for. Look, I don't even want to get into this. There's no true test for what they're looking for. They will find data points for coronavirus. So if ever in your life you've had a common cold or the flu, they're going to find markers for coronavirus. If ever you've had a common cold, the flu, or whatever, and you have fought it, your immune system, I got it, boom, you were sick for a couple days, and your immune system beat it off. You have antibodies or markers that shows that you beat that. So either way, you're doomed. They're going to find something on you. But basically all this testing is audience, panel, it's DNA scraping. That's what they're doing. So anybody that didn't fall for the 23andMe and all that stuff where they're, send in your DNA and we'll tell you your family tree and blah, 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 and all your
ancestry,
roots and all this. Yeah, ancestry.com. Who's ever DNA, they get to fall for that. They're on a mass scale now doing DNA scraping. Come in, and we're going to,
Why?
stick a swab way up your nose, find out everything about you and your DNA and so on and so forth. This is DNA scraping. Go ahead.
Why are they doing that, Brew?
Well, one theory is, and we're coming up to the break, so I'm sure someone else can expand it on at the other side. One theory that was put forward is that by getting your DNA, they can try and trademark it and then sue you for having it in some stupid thing like that. Or they'll use it where... one idea could be cloning, but let's not go Lex Luthor style. But apart from that, there's an element of creating the genome, and they'll use it for control. But I can't remember why. We've got about 2 minutes. Anyone else want to help answer that question? Because I think I've just gone.
Everybody that ever enlists in the military, their DNA is put in a database, and that started in '91 with Clinton under the Genome Project. And, if they can literally map out the entire human genome, therefore, when they develop these vaccinations, which are targeted to the DNA, they can use it in such ways. And, we'll pick up on that after this.
Yeah, Nefarious, you're listening to Revolution Radio. This is Planet Collingwood. We're halfway, so we're going to change sides, suck on some oranges, and then get back into it on the other side. Well, see you on the other side. Revolution Radio. I've said that, yeah.
Bueno Cinco de Mayo.
Yes, put the mayo in the sink. See you soon. And welcome back to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, revolution.radio. This is Planet Collingwood Open Roundtable. My name is Monty Dean. We're into the second half. I think we did well. We moved the ball up the wings, and if we push hard and press forward, the boys in the front pockets will do well. I'm talking about AFL football, so 95% of you have no idea what I'm talking sports ball for starters, and Australian sports ball. Yeah, that's how you open a new hour. What the hell's you talking about now? If you enjoyed the last hour, please go to freedomslips.com or revolution.radio and click on the donate button and give what you can so we can continue on having Studio A and B sharing information and great shows, as well as some light entertainment talking about dreams. We are 100% listener supported. We're all volunteers, so it's for the people, by the people, through the people, and there's people involved. Yeah, and at this hour I'd like to talk at some point, but we'll get to it later because I think we left on not a cliffhanger, but I can't remember what we're talking about. But the David Icke stoush for the last 3 weeks, and so I think we'll get some mileage out of that. But remember, oh, that's right, DNA and the collection of, and interesting enough, the U.S. military, they experiment on them a lot, and the collection of DNA as well. And Bruce asked the question of why. Probably more control. And if you go into the woo-woo/aliens, the black hat aliens want our DNA because we're a hodgepodge or a mixture of all different alien species, and so we've got like a access all area pass where our DNA allows us to vibrate through all the cosmos. And if you bring up the grey mythology, they evolved they can't reproduce, and so they're trying to do a hybrid program. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'll stop there because I just realized, I just gave you 14 different book ideas for a sci-fi novel. That's the world we're living in. So, does that help?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, and the thing that I wonder too about how this ties in with what Microsoft LLC is up to with this, true mark of the beast, and how the DNA ties into that. Because I think, not only would it have to bond to the DNA, but there's other things that they could do with such a thing, with tuning and frequencies and, 5G and the allocation, geolocation, and cryptocurrency, things that are all tied into this patent, and the patent, I'll just read the number off real quick, WO 0202060606. And, I've said before that obviously 0 holds no numerical value. So what I take from it is World Order by 22666. It's all happening right now before our eyes, and if people don't care to see it for what it is, and I'm so sorry that you're not aware, and that's why we do these broadcasts, is to make people aware.
I would put forward that they're aware of something. There's that, because I've recently watched The Matrix last night, and I'm going to watch the other 2 hopefully tonight. I haven't watched them for a while, and it holds up quite well. It's like that 2 hours went really quick, but I think most people know that something. That's what pandemic, whatever, March 2020, something's wrong, as we pointed out, the corruption, everything else like that. But there's that. Like in the way that Viking explains it, which I sort of follow as well, is the raising of the frequency, and people are waking up. It could be multiple things, but there's that intuition that something's not right. We're being pushed forward to sort of wake up, or the old ways are falling away, or however you want to say it. And so you'll be fascinated. Also, if you try and lock down 7 billion people for a very long time, they'll get stir crazy. And I don't see how the few try and control the many, because they'll have a revolution on their hands. There's way too many of us where we'll start losing our minds. Well, not all of us, but there are people that are just they're supposed to. We live in a free country, but you can't leave your house. Like, well, hang on, how long? This is going to go on for 2 years. Well, whoa, calm down there, buddy. And there's many different facets from that where we'll get into it a bit later, but with David Icke, there's trying to censor his ideas because they don't like what he says. But by censoring his ideas, instead of allowing you to choose, they made the choice for you. And it's like, it's the same thing that happened with Alex Jones, which was these people are putting forward that we're slowly going into a dictatorship where they want total control. And so they censor them, like Nazi Germany, which looks like a dictatorship that wants total control. It's irony on a base level, but it's amusing. Of like, what? As John and I have had maybe a year ago, they're still using the same playbook from 1643, and it's not working anymore because the spell's gone.
Absolutely,
yeah.
without a doubt.
They already created an attack against David Icke. Remember last year, around, I can't remember exactly, spring, summer, when they wouldn't let him into Australia, they turned him around.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys recall that?
Yeah.
So it started way then. Then they got Alex Jones way then. I don't know how many. See, I don't know all of David Icke's work, and I haven't followed him for 30 years. And I only really listen to this stuff once he's on a major broadcast or whatever. So he doesn't hold any punches, but I'm not sure what punches he is holding. So I don't know if there's things that he doesn't talk about or twists that I've heard otherwise. But unlike Alex Jones, who, he will deny all day long, I agree. People died at Sandy Hook. Oh, people died at Parkland. Oh, people died. What they did at the white nationals did it to Charlottesville. See, Alex Jones has this other thing where he gives in to them, but yet they still are trying to take him down in one sense or another. So even as he curtails information that he doesn't expose, blow the lid off of the real crimes or the frauds, they're still going after him. He's been touting lately how the FBI has been hanging out in his parking lot, and he's got Robert Barnes. He's hanging out in a show going, they're after me. They're ready to arrest me anytime. And I actually kind of believe that's kind of true. And for what reason, I don't exactly know. For what truths and riling he is doing, that's enough for them.
I think Alex Jones is. They would connect that to the federal election in November, because they believe that he has a sway, and they want to control, and so they don't. Certain people don't want to have another. They don't want to have Trump back in, because that was the. It's all political theater. Short version is, some people think that Alex Jones is a threat because he'll sway voters to the wrong person.
With all the things he's been through lately, I think that the money aspect and the draining of his, resources and financial standing through all these, court proceedings, we know that that's one of their main tools. If they want to ruin somebody, they'll just drag them through the court system for years on end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or I had this kind of this download today where, everyone's asking, what can we do? What can I do? Well, I had this vision of the silent army. Everybody, and what Alex Jones is actually doing is waking people up. The silent army is the awoken aspect of humanity, which basically will no longer participate in this incestuous, devious dystopia that has been subjugating us for thousands of years. And literally, the silent army, the more people that wake up and literally do not partake in this frequency, then they basically have no hold over us as humanity. And it really is, it's just an individual boots on the ground process here that needs to take place. that everybody basically just stood their ground, became sovereign, and just had their vision and beliefs that they can make a difference in their skill set, skill crafts, and skill art, and start engaging in life with benevolence, so we all be in prosperity. Just having that vision as a silent army that will literally thwart this this dark arts and the satanic spells that they're constantly casting upon us as these false flags.
They did that in Turkey, I believe. There was a process where I think 200 people just stood there and looked, and the authorities had no idea what to do. Because when someone's angry at you, they're either blustering and getting really animated and throwing things, or when your mum did it, where she just sits down and just stares at you and is completely quiet. That is so much worse. And apparently, Israel actually did some social distancing protesting as well, where everyone was 6 feet from each other, but they still turned up and protest. So we're humans; we can adapt. So I like that idea of we can still protest, just do it silently because they can't really do much. And if you're far enough apart, yeah, go ahead, Bruce. I think you were trying to chime in.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
Well, the thing about the Israelis doing the abnormal distancing and being 6 feet apart, it actually spread them out into parts of Palestine that they said, well, we got to annex this land now in order to do our experiment.
Oh, they always do that. But yeah, I know. That's yeah. That's
Can I comment on this what John sent us in our chat, this Luciferius. You know what that is, John? That's not, I've been told this. That's an off-world nanotechnology that they are throwing into the vaccine. They've actually used it in the chemtrails, and it's this very much like in X-Files. It's a black goo that is a fungus, and it has a conscious awareness. And when put into a vaccine, it can be activated by 5G and basically act as a catalyst to create a pandemic.
Right. And I wonder if enough people are going to wake up before they try to push the mark upon people. And even if they do go to push the mark upon people, those poor souls that take it willingly, I know what scripture says, but those who are literally forced and held down and forced to take the mark completely against their will, if their souls will, transgress into the higher being, or if they will be, on lock, so to say. I've pondered this back and forth, and I don't know. Ultimately, it's up to God and the Creator to decide who will transgress into the higher form. And I know, like I said, I know what it says in Scripture.
If they corrupt you with their science, their technology, and whatnot, He will no longer recognize you, because what they're doing is they're corrupting you and your soul. He will no longer recognize you. That's why you're supposed to not accept it, give into it.
Absolutely.
There's two other aspects here. The first one, Next 22 report today, there was a big explicative of how Trump's team and his narrative around the vaccine is that this hydrocodone, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, this
Hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine is actually not only can it cure, but it can prevent any virus. And this, to me, is what I feel he's going to roll out. Is if anybody wants to do a vaccine with hydroxychloroquine with the CPAC, that to me is what I feel is more in the algorithms of the timelines. If they do come out with this other vaccine, just remember it is of lower density, and if you keep your body alkaline and keep your state of being out of fear and chaos, you could actually kill this virus.
Absolutely. and that's having a pH level in your blood of 7.0 to 7.4 or above, and then it doesn't allow the virus to manifest. It breaks up viruses before they can even begin.
But even this nanotechnology, because of fungus, I mean, cancer cells, viruses, bacteria, they exist in an acidic system, which is 3D. And as you were pointing out earlier, Brew, diet is very important here. And I actually have pH strips in my drawer here. I got them on Amazon just to kind of test my pH. But it is critical that, and I don't want to necessarily, rain on John's parade here, but red meat is any meat is acidic, but especially red meat is the hardest thing that you can do to a male because of its prostate. I stopped eating red meat 40 years ago, but you just have to be very careful with acidic foods. That's dairy, wheat, cheese, and also you were saying, Monty, about Europe and the foods that they're banned. They basically have banned GMO, which is 80% of processed foods here in America. They have banned GMO, and that's basically what you were, I think, referring to.
One level of it, yeah. I've got a great joke that I need to put into a routine, which is like, how in a supermarket there's an aisle of health food, begging the question, what the hell is everything else? We've been joined by John. How are you, old boy?
Old and tired, young man.
We'll take that.
Good round table, lots of stuff, and I can't go back the hour and 20 minutes you've been on so far, but it's good stuff, guys. Seem to be painting a lot of small parts to a much bigger picture.
Yeah, that's what we do. We've got to fill 2 hours.
This is been planned a long time ago, and what if this thing that's closed down the whole planet? Well done. I've got to say they did it really well. Just through fear. Yeah. Maybe they learnt that from the alternative fear mongering. Maybe they've been on GLP too much.
GLP?
Godlike Productions, the
right.
trailer park of all conspiracy.
Right.
And a lot of stuff you can see from the first posts come into all the different supposable reputable places and tubers and that, expanding on ideas that are done there. But it's a pit that I look at quite often because I know it's played with by the number game or the lettered agencies.
John, I'd like to hear your... Sorry, go ahead.
Can I just sort of finish where I was going with this, with what I had in my mind?
Yeah.
If the virus that's closed down everything is nothing more than another bloody false flag, a label to put us onto this path, rather than it be, and everyone's talked about what they've been spraying in the skies. I believe the world's been sick for quite some time, and we now reached a tipping point and they needed something to give it as an excuse, another cover-up. That'll do with my thought for the moment. Yes, Bruce, what was your question?
I'd like your thought on why they're gathering up all human DNA, why they want to register us all in a DNA bank. Like, what are they looking for? What are the ETs looking for?
I have my own opinion on that, but I'd rather not voice it publicly.
Okay.
Yes, I believe, yes, Bruce, they're searching for something. Okay. They stuffed things up with CERN. They were looking for the boson, the God particle. And what did they find? The interdimensional, well, we won't go there, but we all know what I'm talking about. So is it not necessary that because we are part of the creation itself, can they gather enough DNA? And some of us are, I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's an answer. I'll give you that. But fair enough. Yeah, it's very something's very chicanery, scumbaggery, fishy. Something like, why are you doing that? What, like, is it a seed bank? Like, is it going to be stored in Norway under a big rock or something? Or
I noticed a post. I forget where it floated up from. One of my stupid things I look at. Tom Hanks came out saying that we should all be thankful for 19 because it's the reset.
Well, it is a reset. It's definitely
the virus. Well, Viking, you were very aware of the idea that the planet's going to go through a reset, and we've had many resets over. For me, humanity's millions of years old. Not even we're extremely old.
Well, first of all, my side of the DNA is the genetics has been collected by the extraterrestrial dark forces to slice and dice a super being. So they're trying to analyze and collect and store, but it's a slice and dice program that they're eventually trying to manifest here into their version of a superhuman race, kind of like what they were doing in Nazi Germany. But I feel that this failed. As far as the reset goes, yeah, there's been many tries. The last try was Atlantis. The Galactic speak of this is a third attempt for humanity to ascend into this new paradigm that we refer to as 5D. It's just a marker. It's just like it's just a marker for us to be able to imagine our vision, but it really, even that is an illusion. But they're trying to get us for the first time to advance and evolve into a state of reckoning and awareness and self-perception that only the yogis and the masters were able to do after they died. So they're hoping that we can do it while we're still in body, and it is literally creating a human race, a human galactic race. We're creating a brand new galactic race here that is absolutely coveted throughout the galaxy. What we're bringing in with our new signature of DNA, being able to manage our emotional subtle body, being able to enjoy and be able to execute our sensuality and our creativity. Our sexuality is going to be hyper exposed and used as a technique to channel energy. It's just that we're in a precipice of a brand new birthing and evolution of humankind.
I'll sort of back up maybe not 3, it could be 5, but we've done this before, and quite frankly, I'm tired. Bruce, you remember that we used to talk about just whatever is going to happen, just do it. Well, it's been done, and of course we're still waiting. Like, oh, come on, the Prime Creator writes the best jokes, doesn't it?
Well, for us first waivers, there's, as I've shared, there's 3 waves of awakening. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be spiritual or galactic. Just the fact that you're waking up is all that's necessary here. And the fact that we had this red pill 10 years ago, it is tiring. We're getting kind of anxious for other people to join in. But the second wave, this coronavirus activated and catapulted the second wave into its positioning. And again, of course, the third wave is going to be the slipstream of the second wave and the first wave as we move forward here. It'll create an event horizon beyond anything that we could possibly imagine.
Yeah, even if the term the awakening, that could be just how the mainstream is false. Just that level of corruption where, banking system, it doesn't mean you're going to enter 5D and get handed a 6D bus pass, which, quite funny, but still, they're waking up to like the false reality that's been put forward. It's easily recognizable that it's false because, say, in the last 30 years, you would have one parent going to work and earning all the money while the other parent looked after the kids. Yeah, a holiday house, you had a boat, everything else like that. Now both parents are working 3 jobs just to try and pay for childcare because they can't look after. They've got a job to pay for the childcare because they have to go to work to, you know what's going on. That's basically what I'm saying. And people are waking up to it was like, that's not right. That's not fair. It's just that level where America is the land of opportunity. Yeah, explain all the homeless people then. Like, the system sucks. And don't go case by case basis. I understand, like, yeah, people just sort of, one bad day, the right woman and the right friends, you end up, as Bill Hicks says. But the thing is, why can't you have a balance between capitalism and socialism? I should have given a warning there, but why isn't a human right to have housing and heat without everyone else paying for it? And this comes to the financial things of the central bank. What is Ross Perot? That sucking sound in the background? There, that's the Fed. I'll stop there because I'm scatterballing.
Well, I'm not trying to continue on with this, but that vision, I think that things are eventually going to come to a head where the creator is going to say, you know what, I've had enough of this. Nobody is paying attention anymore. And there is going to be a violent shaking of the entire earth that will literally bring everybody and tune everybody's ear and say, hey, man, something's up. We got to do something different. We're going all about everything completely wrong. That's what I took from it. I mean, let it be what it may. Bad food, dreamscape or premonition. But
you just described the event. If you're familiar with the event where there's a solar flash from our sun, and it removes the veil as it hits the Earth, and everyone connects to their highest source. It could be a nanos. It's a form of it. Yeah, go ahead.
It's from the central sun, not our sun. The central sun.
Well, it depends where the planet is. It has to go through the sun. It's a portal. It's from the central sun. Yeah, there is a central sun, and it spreads out, and then it hits our sun and an amplified. Right. Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, but the thing is, there is a point in coming up in our close history, timing, that humanity is going to have the veil lifted back, so we're connected to Source, Creator, Flying Spaghetti Monster, Yahweh, Jesus, whatever terminology you want to use. I'm not sure if I think, is it a Viking? Is it a glimpse, or is it a reconnection? Because I know there's a moment where it's like, remember this feeling?
No. So you can't say reconnection because we are connected. We're just not aware of it, right? So it is an awakening.
Yes.
And this is what's known as the event horizon.
I had a thought too. Suspicious Observers has been pointing out in the electrical universe, he's talking about the same thing. He's not coming from a spiritual or religious point of view. He's pointing out there's a mini nova coming from the sun. On a plane, on the plane of existence, or however, I haven't delved into it enough. I don't know if he's referring from there's an energy wave coming through from the central sun of the galaxy, but that's sort of what's going on. It's fascinating how, as we stay in the now and little bits get unveiled and we get tidbits here and there, it's all coming to a point somehow where it's like, oh, okay, and it's different from everybody else. That's the joy of creation, where it's like, this is going to happen for you eventually when you're ready on your own personal existence. See you on the other side.
There's also another event which will happen in the next 20 to 30 years where our sun's going to start to hibernate. And we're going to get a brand new sun. It's actually Helios's daughter is a dark star. We can't see her, but she's going to start to activate. Once we hit 5D on this planet, they're going to change roles, and it's going to go from a divine male sun to a divine female sun, and it's going to have a whole different set of genetics and coding, and it's good. It's mind blowing where this whole aperture of negotiation on this planet is headed.
Right on.
Anyone? Yeah, I was gonna I just left a pause there to see if anyone wanted to add in or not disagree, because we hardly have disagreements. We just have different points of view.
Angels pass through the room.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever heard that adage before. You know, it's been said that when everything just goes silent in the middle of a conversation, that an angel passes through the room. I just figured I'd throw it out there.
Oh no, it's because usually when it's on my roundtable, it's because I've said something and people like are nodding and like, this is not good radio. Great television, because everyone's like, But there's that pregnant pause of like, da 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 da. So football, what's going on there? But I like that an angel just walked through the room. I wonder what their cake tastes like.
Spreading masks around for everyone.
What was that? Say that again, please.
Angel flew through the room, spreading masks around for everyone.
Oh yes.
I want to refer. I apologize. I want to refer back to Viking. Viking, where are you getting this information? Is this a guest on your show, or are you reading about this? Is there some psychic telepathic connection you have somewhere? Because the only place I've ever kind of heard this is when I used to listen to Quantum Ship with that, which I haven't listened to in probably 4 or 5 weeks. And they're the only people I ever hear talking about this aside from you. So can you explain to us, as you know, I'm asking selfishly for me, and maybe some other people get something out of it. Where are you getting all this from, this 5D and the connection and the sun and this and that? Where is this coming from? Please help me out.
Well, a lot of it is coming from channeled information. A lot of it I get on my show, which is called the Galactic Interstellar Council, Down the Rabbit Hole Galactic Perspective. The first hour, there's 3 of us. We basically throw around the current venue of what's occurring. You know, and one show builds upon the next. The second hour, Christopher, who is he was part of the secret space program. He did his 20 and back. He's been to Mars, and then he was regressed back into a human form. Has the ability of what's known as Shalico. So Shalico, which is done in Santeria, it's done in African cultures, in the American cultures, the Aboriginals. It's when you take a back seat. And I've actually Shalicoed myself, especially during when I was sun dancing. But so what happens is that you take a back seat and you allow a presence to take over, and they. I mean, I've talked to over 50, 60 galactic races over the course of 3 years, and all this information I just put together as these timelines are collapsing and all these algorithms are starting to ramp up. I get what's known as an understanding, and then I confirm it with my clairvoyant, clairsentient understanding of my higher will. And so this is not just me, pitching a line. This is information I've collected, ran it through the grist mill, took what I call an understanding, or what's known as a file of information, and then I basically process it and unpack it, and I deliver it to my listening audience. And so it's all the above of what you mentioned.
Interesting enough as well, it's if you search, the similar information has come up as well from, like, say, Dolores Cannon.
Yep.
I think David Wilcock touched on that with the Law of One. And you've got Cryon. Mostly now, if you're not a fan of channeling, I understand that's not your cup of tea. Even Daryl Anker with Bashar, who is not the Prime Minister of Syria. I have to point that out because you don't want to mix those two up. And it's fascinating. Like, if I think they're trying to help us, and not 100% believing because I'm a human and channeling and stuff like that. But if it's just one entity channeling all the things, it's well orchestrated because you're getting multiple information points all coming through from different people. And so that's why I sort of my multi-dimensional radar is rather big. Go ahead.
But also, you have these. There are a couple people out there. One of which is Alison Crow. She's up in Oregon. She puts her people into deep hypnotic trances, and then their spirit guides come through, and then they speak and deliver this information. So she's actually one of the main proponents behind this galactic wave and this galactic sun, bringing in this rainbow violet energy, which is going to literally burn out. At that point, when it happens, is we're going to be on the 90% there, and the last viruses that are in our DNA will be burnt out, and we'll be able to be freed of the subjugated slavery of the 3D. And so and we're in what's known as year zero. You go back to my calendar. 7 years ago, every 7 years we have what's known as a galactic cycle. Our body has a 7-year cycle. Our growing up, our monads, we have 7-year cycles as we mature. So we're in year one of a brand new galactic cycle, which is year zero. And the next 7 years, this is when all this prophecies are supposed to actually manifest.
And it's interesting. It seems that Team Dark, the Black Hats, they're aware of this. Like now, I know I'm. What's the right way? I don't know for sure, but it's like Occam Razor, because the Vatican has like this vast library in its basement that it's gotten everything. Like they took all the good stuff out of Alexandria, then burn it down. They've got knowledge that they don't want everyone to know. And there seems to be an element of they're aware of this change, and what we're seeing is they're still trying to keep control, and it's not working. As Bruce said an hour ago, that good things are happening. It's because this small few are losing their power, and their tricks aren't working. Like even. If we want to get a bit financial, the Babylonian dark energy money system is running out of energy, and it's not working anymore because, and the only reason I spoke to this with Danny as well. The only reason that the dollar is a dollar is because of faith of humanity.
Yeah,
which I find
at this point, yeah.
Which I find fascinating. Go ahead, John.
I wanted to point out that I've heard through different sources and different broadcasts that there's a man, I can't think of his name, and he's working very in-depthly on trying to reveal the timing of the two prophets that will be revealed in Jerusalem, clothed in sackcloth, that will prophesy. And anybody that tries to kill them, they will destroy by fire. That eventually it is going to come to pass, and the whole world will see them laying dead on the streets for the times that we live in. And the only way that that's possible is through the technology that we currently possess in our civilization. And intelligence agencies are trying their damnedest to try and get to the bottom of this, to figure out when they're going to appear, so they can try to either subdue them, arrest them, or throw them in the can and lose the key, so to say. So all this stuff's tying together, and I just find it interesting. Man, we really do live in interesting times.
Yeah, I'm like it to end at some point. And I think it's my multi-dimensional self of like, yeah, okay, we're near the credits, and it's just taking friggin' forever, and I'm back. I'm fine. Okay.
We have to maintain our composure here.
Yeah.
Really. I once was talking to a galactic, and I said, I see the finish line, but I feel like I'm on my hands and knees crawling over glass. And he says, well, that's your choice. So you can be in your passion and make it there just as good. And this is it. Just back away and don't participate in this chicanery, and it will implode on itself. This is what I'm saying. The silent army is backing away, disconnecting, even with judgment. No judgment. You have to understand, they are doing their best. And then them doing their best and showing us their weaknesses and their sociopathic, psychopathic tendencies, it's giving us even a greater aperture of appreciation. They have a contract here to finish their even to their last dying breath. It's their contract, and they have to play it out. It has to play out.
That's actually what's
the trick here is don't get involved.
Well, that's what happens to me. I had some revelations yesterday watching the David Icke thing. I couldn't watch it all at once. I had to break it up because it was there seemed to be an energy of like I was going backwards in a way because he was repeating a lot of stuff. It was great for new people. It was an awesome video, and I had a question about him saying there's no virus. It was like, well, but because that's at the start and he builds up everything, it's like it was rubbing me the wrong way, but. Watch it yourself. But I realized I do not give consent. I don't want to play in the narrative anymore because I was just an observer, and instead of don't take a side, my plan is not to have a plan. And so now my plan, like, what am I supposed to do here? I'm just here to watch. I'm an observer, and so I've withdrawn even further. Where I used to, one mini mission was to wake people up, and now it's just to make people laugh that have woken up because you've fallen down some stairs. You've been taped to a chair and pushed down some stairs, and so at the bottom it's like, okay, you're fine. Two guys walk into a bar, and one's Jewish apparently. Hey. And that's even now. It's that withdrawing of stop giving them energy, and I'm aware of it. It's interesting to find that balance where you don't ignore it. However, you don't get on the streets with a tiki and start screaming at people. We're humans, so if you have to pick a side, pick humanity. And we don't need all this divide and conquer, and that's how they're controlling. And I can even bring in the wokedom factor where it's like, we need inclusivity. It's like, where's the white guy? Oh, you're a racist. It's like, look up the word inclusive and you'll realize it means everybody. And it's all, labeling everyone. This is how stupid they're getting. George Lucas is a racist because he wrote about white people who he stole from Asians with the samurais and something about black people, and I condensed it to a human took human ideas and wrote stories about human. Imagine my shock. That's this is how you get past racism and everything else. It just labels and anger and blame, shame, and guilt. We're dropping all that away, and if you see someone like you're familiar with the role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons. It's been around since the late 60s, based on Tolkien's Lord of the Rings in a way. Apparently, the orcs are based on African Americans, and so therefore it's racist. This is the level of stupidity we're dealing with.
Right on.
Yeah, and so it's just pull back and observe. Go ahead.
So there is the final piece of the puzzle here, which I've been working on now for about 3 or 4 weeks. That all this anger and this vindication and this strong
Viking,
emotional.
Can I just point out?
Sure.
If this is the final piece of the puzzle, it's the only one you haven't put in the puzzle yet. It's not that hard.
Exactly.
It's sitting off there by itself. The other 792 pieces are in place. If you can't figure this out, I have to ask, how did you get the first 792 pieces done?
One piece at a time.
On the bad metaphor.
One piece leads to the next. Is the way we evolve is through our lessons of life, and they either build us character or they show us our weakness. Right. Every situation that you encounter can build character or show us their weakness. And in a situation where you're reacting, like you were saying earlier, Monte, where people are out there yelling and screaming and whatever, you're yelling and screaming at yourself because the energy that you're feeling is being reflective. It's reflective nature that you have yet to resolve. And you have basically, in a past life, incurred that encumbrance as a perpetrator. This life, we have to experience that emotional resonance that you created in this trauma. And so the trauma is actually a vehicle to resolve ourselves and to find forgiveness, because we have to resolve our karma, or that which we created. We now need to make amends. And so literally, the person that is creating that trauma in your life, you cannot forgive them, but you can thank them for being the vehicle that is showing you that which you need to be aware of. That is the final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I've mentioned it once or twice, and I have to back it up as well, because eventually the Cabal or whoever, the Dark, we will eventually forgive them. Not tomorrow. It could be another eon, but eventually we'll forgive them for what they did, and because they're playing a part, and we'll find out what's going on. But
they're playing such an important role because they are reflective. See, they are in their contract showing us, realms of compassion and empathy and strength and courage that we would not have been able to manifest without this incursion. He's not going to thank them for their part. We're going to thank them for their role, because they did it masterfully. And every time they step forward, more and more people are waking up because they're just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, and I like how David Icke pointed out, we are ruled by psychopaths and run by idiots. And that just falls into, like, if they want the New World Order would have gone, World War II would have been a perfect example of when they could bring in the whole New World Order and everything else like that. And I think even 2000 they were supposed to do it, and their plans are always behind, and they can never do it right. They're successful in doing some stuff, but here we are. Like, maybe I'm just being pedantic about wording. It's like, the world is controlled by these evil guys. Then why are we allowed to talk on radio? Because they suck.
Right. Well, one important part here is to understand that we're evolving into a brand new human race. They're not human. If you're stuck in the sociopathic, psychopathic mindset, your pain and suffering, and your needs and wants, your addiction, and trying to vindicate, your ego through your survival of life, and that's not just the deep state here. It could be in your circle of friends or your family. They're predators. They're soul trapping you. You gotta really understand, to release the spell of the soul trap is to not partake and engage in it anymore. See, and this is the crux here through all Eastern religions. The main part of the story that they're teaching or sharing is surrendering the false plane of illusion. It's a samsara or maya of life. You got to let go and find your own sovereign within. It's about finding your sovereignty and then being able to engage in life with benevolence. And they're not human. My point is, they're not human, and they're soul trapping you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Hey, me and God opened up an avocado franchise here. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
If I could, Tones has been messaging me here a little bit back and forth, and I just want to put this out there. It says several possibilities for the DNA gathering is maybe to find the anomalies amongst us all, possibly the ETs among us, or maybe they're searching for a specific bloodline that is superior to the rest, immune to all viruses, and to take that data back to the labs, maybe to tune up a strain specifically targeted, or the reverse of that, extracting the antibodies from the super immune, or maybe to find out who has metallic coating inside them that is able to be manipulated later in the future with their scary 5G plan. Boogie boogie. And he sent me a thing here, and it says Sprint. The top of Sprint's page says, our priority is keeping you safe, followed by 5G death lasers right below it. Laugh out loud. I said, yeah, if that doesn't sound nefarious at all. Oh, we've got to stop these bastards, gentlemen. We've got to stop them dead in their tracks and let them know who's boss. I mean, if we don't do it, our children's children most definitely will never be able to do it.
Yeah, well, if I may step in here, I don't see how, like, a country may fall, but I don't see the globe doing, like, because they have to do everything at once. Like Bill, let's kill Grandma Gates, and people are waking up to him as well. Like if he posts anything on social media, he's just bombarded with all just negative crap because of what's Bill Gates. He wants to vaccinate 7 billion people. The second half of the planet will know, like once the first people die or whatever, the damage from it, they'll rebel. It's like, well, the first 6 people we gave it to, they all died. So why would I want that? You know what I mean? Can you see how I don't understand? Like Project Bluebeam, where they're supposed to have a deity and God hologram in the sky, but Canada, the United States, and Australia, New Zealand, and the Western world, like they're supposed to be, they started out as Christian countries, but the population isn't totally Christian. There's Jews, Muslims, even here in Australia, Jedi. And so if you have one deity, you'll have to have 2 or Fellowship of the Ring style thing around a round table, and it won't work. This is like, I can say this now. Say 10 years ago, it's like, oh, hang on, is that possible? But because they just suck at trying to do things where they try and keep doing false flags, where they set off bombs in a stadium for pop concert, and people ran in to help people. You know what I mean? That human element of helping people. The Australian fires over the last summer, over the year, December, January of this year, that went worldwide. And so that gives me hope, and I can see there's this massive pushback. I just don't see how. I mean, people may bring up the whole quarantine of like, well, they're doing that. Yeah, but they're using fear, and it just shows the kind of power that the pharmaceutical companies have, as well as the World Health Organization. However, they've been exposed as being shithouse as well, because they're covered up from what happened in China. And you know what I mean? This is why it's like it's a 5D chess set. Someone's flung the board up, and all the pieces are floating there. Over.
Yeah.
Well, that was my point, Monty, is that they're doing their job perfectly and masterfully to enable humanity to awake, and it really is necessary that they play their hand out. Otherwise, we had a question last night. Well, why aren't the Galactic saving us? Well, we're a loaf of bread half baked. Why would you want to pull it out of the oven now when we have the opportunity to literally, make it all the way? But it's to require vigilance, determination, and commitment to really stay focused here and be on guard, because people around you want to pull you into the pit of despair quicker than you can pull them out, and you have to really start making some hard decisions here on how you negotiate life.
Yep, and my pin on Twitter, you can pin a tweet, and my one is respect everything, love everybody, do no harm, but don't take crap. And that's sort of a universal law from there, and if you follow them, you're kind of all right. We have 5 minutes to go of the show, so final thoughts, thoughts, ideas. Who's hosting on the show at the moment? John, Mr. Wayne, do you have a show at this point in time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Unequivocal Truth, DEFCON 1, with me, your host, John Wayne.
Not the actor. Any passing thought, and then I'll go on to Viking. Tell us.
Say, be true to yourself, and make sure you pick the right side of history to be on.
Yeah, do what's right. I recommend, if it resonates with you, have a look at the David Icke interview. And like the last half an hour is about love and opening up your heart and doing the right thing. And yeah, that's it. Viking, would you like to share? I know you've shared it before on the show, but let's do it again. Where can people find you and your show and all that type of stuff?
Well, we do a show called the Galactic Interstellar Council, Down the Rabbit Hole, a Galactic Perspective, with Connor Zeideveld and Christopher Jacobs and myself, the Viking. Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this week we'll be talking about the cleansing, the pivotal cornerstones of the karmic cycles of trauma as we spiral into the 5D paradigm. It's gonna be a powerful show. It's probably one of the most powerful shows that I've ever done, and really looking forward to it. And again, just hold your truth, find your passion, and just find ways to just find to divine your joy in life.
Excellent. And thank you, Chicago Brew. He's gone into the green room, so thank you for joining. Go ahead, Viking.
I was going to say thank you very much. This is an excellent platform that you're holding here, and I really appreciate being part of it and being able to exchange with other like minds and with Bruce and whatnot. It's been very enjoyable.
Well, yeah, I try and put forward where it's all about me. I'm the center of attention, where I don't commit to anything, so that's why I sort of accept everybody. Because who's right, who's wrong, I don't know. Let's find out. Mr. MacDonald, any final thoughts? I know you're popping onto the round table, so we'll just let the luck of the draw with that. But any final thoughts?
Yeah, the quarantine is an excellent time to get some reading done. Get your copy of Stardust Ranch, The Incredible True Story on Amazon, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's the beginning of a series of books I'm doing with rare and unique people on the planet who have decided to tell their stories now. Next one will be out in a couple months, and it's boggling my brain on a daily basis, which is why I'm so mute in these roundtables. I just come to practice my English, basically.
Yeah, fair enough. At least you're honest about it. I have bought that said book, and I actually bought the physical copy, which freaked out the system, I think. But it is a quite good book. While I've got you, Bruce, I'll just quickly tell you that I'll tell you the numbers for the YouTube interview that we did. So I'll just quickly do that. There are comments. Someone read the book twice, so that was a good thing.
Wow.
Yep. 138 views, 4 comments, and 11 likes. And
Nice.
the comments are, I read this book twice. Excellent book. The book sounds fascinating. Science, #science reality. I've met Palladians in dreams too. They were the most beautiful people. You're right. This is not fantasy. Aliens are real. And you folks are awesome. Glad you are here for us. So there you go. Just to
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we've got witnesses now, so you can't say I don't keep it anyway.
Yeah.
And John, are you in the background there, sir? I would say very in the background, so he's not there. Thank you, John, for popping in. He's Victorian. We love him.
He's back. He snuck off to get some more bacon wrapped chicken.
No, not Mr. Wayne, not the actor, the other John.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. See, bacon wrapped chicken for him too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. He grows fruit trees, so he is rather important. I should catch up. And thank you, Cortec.
I'd ship him some, but I don't think it'd be fresh by the time it got to him. So.
Yeah, strangely enough. And also, I'm not sure about international flight at this point in time because of said corona and virus. And if these people are trying to take over the world, they're forcing humanity into an uprising. And also, they keep releasing movies about rebels and heroes and defeating authority. I know they're playing a part, but they're not very smart, are they? Anyway, so there you go. That was Planet Collingwood. We shall be back in 6 days and 22 hours because that's the way we lol. You're listening to Revolution Radio. I'm not sure what's coming up for the next 2 hours. However, in 2 hours is Kelsey Sweet with Cultivating Consciousness. Check her out if you can. You've been fantastic. I've been Monty Dean. Donate what you can if you can. Thank you, chat room. Thank you, Ball Boys. Thank you, Linesman. And we shall return in another moment of now. Say good night, everybody.
Night, Monty.
Good night.
Good night.